Welcome back, everybody. I'm finishing, I am mixing with a drill about 4 gallons of countertop resin. Now, I don't always drill mix countertop epoxy, and there is a little bit of air in it, but as you will see shortly, I'm finishing up on my mix here. I'm going to vacuum chamber this, and woo, shot my shot there. How is everybody? I missed you guys. I was in California working on a very good man's house, trying to finish up his job. We're actually doing a little bit of warranty work, sad to say, but really good experience. So, all righty. Now this is my vacuum chamber that was made for me by the badass himself, Monty, a buddy of mine. And here we go. Try to get some negative pressure on here. You got to make sure all your valves are right. So I want to be pulling air out of my container, shut off my water filter. This is to keep moisture out of the air. Kick my pressure on. Now what we're going for is hopefully this pulls a seal, and we'll see. Oh yeah, we're already seeing a little bit of negative pressure. It's dipping a little below the zero here. So that means it's pulling, you know, exactly what I said, negative pressure. So basically it'll suck the air bubbles out of a bucket of epoxy. It's not the fastest thing you've ever seen, so we're going to leave little Gertrude here working away, pulling air bubbles out here while I show you the products, the processes that we're working on today. I was kind of sad because I was excited about this table here. We had a whole ocean theme going on. Let me go get you my piece. I'm going to get you my piece that we were working on. I was truly excited about this. But our customer, I think he just has kind of a simple house. It's kind of, he just wants a little simpler decoration, and I get that. Not everybody has a professional SeaWorld decorator come over and finish out their home, so I get it. But what we had been looking for was something a little more along these lines, like something like this, that we were wanting to set in the center here to have some ocean theme action going on here through the table, and I freaking love this, but alas, he said no. So we're just going to do a really simple, he thinks what's going to be more timeless is just a simple tinted dark gray, and so that's what customer gets, what customer wants. So boring for me, probably. I usually only take jobs if they're exciting or fun, but we'll make this exciting or fun due to something that'll happen, I guarantee you. So, better make sure we're still pulling pressure here. Yep. Try to pull gotta get the air out of here. Sometimes I don't have it seated just perfectly on here. I'll see and I'll catch it, so this is really ghetto, but it works. Sometimes you can spritz a little alcohol around your rim, and it'll catch any tiny, tiny little air gaps. There we go. Now we're pulling a little better pressure. I think we had a little bit of an air leak there going on. It's community best. Who is this? Peggy, thank you for being on our live today. Thank you for just being here. We love you, Peggy. So, how's your day today? Tell us something about Peggy today. I'm doing a river table, and I'm excited. And you guys can vote, but my little girl gave me some, like, healing serum for my beard, and I got back from California where it's a little more moist. Is it moist? Is that what I'm supposed to say? It's more moist in California? I think wherever it is, it's always more moist around me. But, anyways, my beard got more moist, I can tell you that much, and it feels way better. So I'll start trying to look less homeless for you guys and get my beard tamed and under control. So I guess I have to take my happy piece out here because we are not doing the island with the sharks. Tell me that wouldn't be just incredible. So it was what it was. You know what's funny? I'm gonna probably do something like this just for us. And what do you mean, Michael? Down yonder? I say we do. I say we do. Maybe I'll turn her around. Who is this? Peggy, thank you, Peggy, for being here. What's Peggy do for work? What's Peggy do for fun? God bless you, Peggy. Okay, now my other project you guys might want to look at, and maybe it's a long ways down into this hole. This is a well. Little Timmy's down here. Little Timmy's a suitcase. And I set Timmy the suitcase in here, and it is a really cool person from Aspen's, way cooler than me, person's suitcase, and we're going to pour epoxy all over this thing. So hold on, stand by, and you're going to get a very beautiful, very exciting. I see a little bit of glitzy on top. I do not want, no, not one little bit. I'm going to wipe that off with a paper towel. So we sealed all this. You might not be able to tell this has been sealed. They're wanting this encapsulated in a massive chunk of epoxy. You know what? If you got hemorrhoids and it works for you, shoot a video of it, and I'll sponsor you. So for whoever that is on there that wants to know if this helps your hemorrhoids, go for it. You're talking to Levi, I would always say yes, but consult your doctor, consult your medical provider first. So
Peggy said, I like to garden and flowers, live in...
Send us a video.
In Indiana, I'm retired. She lives in Indiana.
Peggy, that sounds amazing. Gardening I think that's how you get closer to God and just being a happy person. I feel like everybody, I want to do woodworking and gardening if I retire young and early, maybe it's too late to retire young, but if I retire early. So here we go. We have 20 PSI of negative pressure. Due to barometric pressure, this will only pull somewhere between like 20 and 23 usually on the most. So usually you'll get like 21, 22 and a half, depending on the weather outside basically. So now the long process of letting the air out, it's slowly pulling bubbles out of that bucket of epoxy that we mixed. And now this is usually made for casting resin. That is a super thin viscosity product. This is a thick viscosity product. You're doing it for countertops. So it's gonna be a much slower process. So I'm not in a massive hurry and I ain't stressed about it, but it's gonna be very helpful to remove a decent amount of the air bubbles, especially from drill mixing and whatnot. So we're gonna let this pressure down, and it takes a second, contrary to what most people think. It often takes a little longer than people think to let all the pressure out of these things. So, and then I'll pop this off. This is funny, so negative 20 PSI, if you think about this, there's probably about 400 square inches on this, so what's 400 times 20? So there could be 2,000 pounds of pressure holding this lid on. So you'd never pull it off, even if it got down to say 5 PSI. It seems like almost no pressure in here, but really, I mean, 5 pounds times 300 or something, you still have hundreds of pounds of pressure on this lid. So you really got to bleed it down to where it's truly at almost zero. I don't know what y'all think of this, but I am getting pretty happy with our prepped piece. I have one thing here that I know a bunch of the old time epoxy guys that love to talk so much trash. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about my foil tape here. But yes, I did choose to foil tape the ends because I'm doing live edges. And I set this directly on top, so there is nothing but foil tape on that edge and holding it in place. So I've spent a life doing a lot of things that other people don't do. Man, I'm still wanting to do our fish so bad. All right, we're getting down, but we're still at 5, so we still have a few hundred PSI here total, or a few hundred pounds at 5 PSI. I'm not very good at patience. But do we have 3 viewers out there? I promise I'll work harder for you guys. So remember, this is your live. Ask any questions you have. So just about down to 0. Need to be able to turn that around and pump pressure into it faster. It's like, I had an old oven one time, and whenever you turned it too hot, it would like auto clean, but it would have shit in it. So you'd be like cooking casserole, and I remember I cooked like a lasagna one time, and I turned the oven on, and it like switched to auto clean, locked the front door, went up to like 550, and needless to say, I had to unplug it so I didn't completely roast my dinner, but that oven did that to me a few times before I figured to never do that again. So here we are, guys. I am gonna remove our lid. And now I'm gonna reach down in here with my torch. I got a few little air bubbles, but actually not very bad in there. Check down in there. That was like a ton of air before, and that's pretty air free, but not perfectly, but it's pretty damn good. All right. Like I say, I've got about 4 gallons in there. All right. Now I just don't want any debris in the center of that. I've done that same process a few times because I am a little worried about it. And now I'll you know, I always like to keep weights around when I'm building a table because you just never know when you're just wanting to get swole biceps or something. So it's really important just to like leave this there. So when you're just bored and not really doing anything, you just jack a little steel. I'm kidding, it's holding my blanket just in case. These were very flat. I did notice the end of that one was kind of milled a little incorrectly and planed a little incorrectly. So it's a little thicker, but for the most part, these are very flat and laying just about perfect. So here's to nothing. Be patient and slow with this process because we're not trying to break any world records. We're just sealing this piece in. Biggest problem I see in a lot of these instances right now is people just in too much of a hurry. And when I say people, sometimes I'm looking at myself. Okay. Oh, pour a little bit there. Okay. Now the rest. Maybe not the rest. I'm going to see how I'd feel about this, but I am pouring this from the top down to seal this into the mold exactly as is. Heck yeah, that's gonna be beautiful. Now, don't go overboard, don't be scraping your bucket out. I'm gonna let that cure, and all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix full kits in there, and then you're not trying to get a brand new graduated measuring cup every single time, because our kits always come pre-measured. And in here we're going to be putting about 50 some gallons. It's actually going to be finished off at about 36 inches high, so not that big of a stress, but just to really be thoughtful as to mixing full kits so you know your ratio is always on. And like I say, that bucket's going to be very clean with epoxy bonded to the edges. We're not going to try to scrape some of it off and lose some of it and have some stick. I'll just mix probably 1 or 2 full kits at a time in the bucket every single time. And then over here, we are coming up on being, I don't know, I'm like gonna place my little, I'm gonna place this little piece. Maybe he'll end up liking it too more than he thinks. So we're gonna do that, and I'm gonna set something just a tiny bit heavy on here. And now I could go ahead and I could torch right now because I see some air bubbles coming out. But this is a casting resin piece, and instead of torching this and getting it hot, let as many of the air bubbles escape on their own at a low temp as possible. So spend your time, maybe even spray alcohol. Most likely that's what I'm gonna do, to let that work into the pieces, work into all the little fractures on your piece, and cure nice and slow, releasing air naturally. And it's gonna be a lot better than trying to force all the air out really quickly with some heat. So it'll give you a way better, clearer top too. The other thing happens is if you, if I was to overheat this right now and kind of heat it up with a torch, it can actually cure in an expanded form because it gets warm when you torch it. And when that gets cured in that expanded form, just like ice, when it freezes, it gets bigger. Well, most objects, again, as they get hot, they expand. So you wouldn't want hot resin going into the side of a plank that's exactly 68 degrees and then shrinking back. You can get warping and different things. So I know that's kind of a little stupid detail people don't explain, but just controlling the temperature of your resin, whatever you're casting with, is super important. And if you learn to do that, it'll make your projects just so simple. But you guys don't want to share that, so don't torch it. Spray alcohol, keep really low temperatures. And if you see something like that, I just saw a piece of junk in this. How did I have a piece of junk still? What's that?
It's hard to see since everything's
Right.
white, but
So I think this is going to be a good looking piece here.
I see on the seam here.
And which seam do you see? You can see, right? Yeah, oh yes. You can see a lot of where we smeared silicone and whatnot on there. So now this is going to become a smoked gray, almost tinted, but I didn't want to do that on the first level. So like what I'm saying is I'm going to spray alcohol first. And yes, I wish this was down where we'd planned it, and then we'd be putting, you know, little coral and stuff all around this piece and fill in this piece. Then we'd cut the end, have a waterfall. It would have been a lot more actual work probably, but it would have been something fun that I think you guys would have loved. But you'll love what we do here. This is going to look really, really clean. Okay. Like I said, this is just 99% isopropyl. Evaporation, whenever something evaporates, it creates a cooling effect, so don't be afraid to spray your alcohol. It is going to turn out looking really good with these live edges and everything. And there we are. Man, the top of that's smooth. Okay, we'll be filling this thing up. I don't know who's going to be visiting us next week or in Texas the week after, but I'm getting excited to actually see some of you guys out in Texas at our workshop. We're doing a really fun winery, so it's going to be a small, really hands-on class. We're doing an actual job. We're pouring a large countertop, I think 150, 180 square feet, something like that. It's a big bar top at a winery, and then we're pouring a pretty decent-sized floor, 728 square feet if I recall, doing something outside, doing a wall. You can probably do some planking and stuff like that, so it should be really fun. So I hope I see some of you guys in Texas, and before that, we're going to be right here in Grand Junction, Colorado. So love that I'm back here in the shop. I'm going to be up on a job tomorrow. I'll try to go live on that some too. I'm going to be pouring countertops over tile for a really cool guy just up valley. So, and then going over to Denver, we'll be looking at, I guess, the second biggest house in Colorado. So pray that they're open to us and that we get to get you guys on an awesome job there. So potential for a lot of concrete. So hope you guys have an awesome night. Thank you guys so much for being here. Join our classes. Check out our YouTube channel. That's the main reason we're here, is get you over to our YouTube. We're very non-profitable on all these other forms, so go hit the follow. We have almost 1,200 videos over on YouTube, so check it out. And we're really going to be putting a lot of effort into our YouTube channel coming up. So God bless you guys, and I'll see you over there.